again, Struckpup. Today I'm bringing you a build for the Dusk Mage class in Torchlight Frontiers. This build is centered around stacking as many allies as possible, which can be done via the Bane staff that gives us up to 12 spiders from the 8-legged allies. Then we can stack this together with 6 netherlings from Spirit Well, and we can get some gear that allows us to summon additional allies, be it skeletons, wolves, netherlings, etc. As much as we can get from this, the better. You can see in this previous video that I just showed you that I had a skeleton summoned via a great sword I found. So you can try and find more pieces and maybe stack more than just one additional creature. Now this is to be tested by me. So far I only have one such item. In addition to this, the build is stacking poison, so we can keep proccing those additional poison projectiles from Bane. I'm using Venomous Maw, but there's an option to set up the build in such a way that Venomous Maw is not used if you don't like the skill. And as you can see, I'm using the standard Luminous Run Consecration, and for damage I decided to go on the more meta skills such as Energy Spike and Entropy. This video will show you some suggestions for how to build the skills, how to start leveling up as you go along. Then a bit of information about pet skills that are good, a bit of information about the gear, and I would also start with showing you my relic weapon setup together with some suggestions on how you might want to build it with and without Venomous Maw. As the build might suggest, this is a poison build, so we would be using the Bane staff as a relic weapon. And since it's a summoner build, we would be maxing out 8-legged allies. On your left hand side you would be seeing a suggested setup, how to spend the relic points if you want to use Venomous Maw and if you don't want to use Venomous Maw. It's up to you how to go about it, but my suggested would be 5 points Critical Striker, 10 points Endless Maw, 5 points Kiss of Death, then 10 points Arachnid Army, 10 points Egg Clusters. Alternatively, you can do something like I kind of did on my first try. Get 6 points here, 8 points here, 6 points here, or 5 points here, 8 points here, 7 points here. Just think what you need more. Think for yourself what you prefer. Don't use my build as a template that you really need to do something in this way. I'm just giving you some options and letting you decide whether you like those options or whether you want to make the build your own and just experiment. If you're not using Venomous Maw, something that you could put over there would be probably Holy Bolt. It's nice for filling up the dark bar if you want to go for a dark bar, and it's also nice for sniping targets that are far away. Alternatively, you can just use Unholy Bolt close range point blank on bosses, it melts them sometimes, or even some extra utility by knocking back enemies with Radiant Blast. It also does some damage if you max it out, but it requires a lot of investment to unlock it. Holy Fury is also nice just to beam stuff away, so it's not bad choice as well if you don't have that relic weapon unlocked. And if you don't have the Bane unlocked, just go for any type of weapon. You can put their skill here until you unlock the Bane and craft it. Skill wise, this build is centering around maxing out Spirit Well. Whether you want to be using Energy Spike or Entropy for your damaging skills, or you want to go the white magic path, it's up to you. I would suggest using Energy Spike and Entropy. This is my ideal setup. You can see I'm using Venomous Maw, Consecration, Luminous Run, Spirit Well, Energy Spike and Entropy. What I like to do is I like to weave in Entropy in between the Energy Spikes. So then another spikes, and of course I can start off with summoning some spider and my rotation. Of course, you can just so it's not a bad choice. There's always consequences to your allies, and needless to say, using Luminous Run for extra movement speed for you and the allies is also nice. Then there's the white side. You wanna max out Holy Bolt if you want extra damage for Entropy, Spirit Well and Energy Spike. A nice choice would be maxing out Unholy Bolt because it is good for melting bosses. Although if you think you don't want it, then just put enough points so you can unlock Entropy into Unholy Bolt, then you should be fine spending the points elsewhere. Luminous Run, you should get it as soon as you can, even if it's just 1 point. Just try to keep it for helping you to speed through maps. Consecration is a great skill. Some people don't like that it modifies a mystery skill's duration, so at the moment they're losing that synergy. But even with that in mind, it's still a great damage boost to you and the whole party. Radiant Blaster, don't mind me that I've put some points here. This is just so I can spend some of the remaining points someplace. Holy Fury is good. Holy Fury is good not to use it but to remove some mana cost from your dark skills. So if you go like me for Energy Spike and Entropy, I strongly suggest you max out Holy Fury eventually. So the way I would go on, I would put as much points in Unholy Bolt as needed to get Entropy, then as much points in Entropy as needed to get Spirit Well. Then I would start putting points into Spirit Well until I can unlock Energy Spike. Then I would focus all my points into Energy Spike, but in between that I would try to get Luminous Run as soon as I can. I wouldn't get Consecration yet, I would get it later when I have at least 10 points into Energy Spike maybe. But if you feel like it, you could just try and max out Holy Bolt, then get some points into Luminous Run and then Consecration. On this side, I would start by putting as many points as needed to unlock Luminous Run, then keep spending points in Unholy Bolt until you unlock Consecration. Put 1 point into Consecration, then go on into spending the points until you max out those 3 skills: Entropy, Spirit Well, Energy Spike. Once those are maxed out, then you can keep spending points into Holy Bolt, Consecration and Luminous Run, and eventually move on to Holy Fury if you're having troubles with the energy costs. For the pet skills, I personally prefer to go with Deadlier Strikes for increased crit strike chance. 15% is a lot, so keep that in mind. Even if it takes you a while to get this aura, it's probably the best one for a mage caster. Then there's Battle Cry. Increased damage for you and the party. It's very good in any case. And then something that I do think would be amazing is Healing Friendship. I've seen some of the people I play with using it, so it's pretty nice. Every 10 seconds you get 10% HP heal. So a very nice choice, and something that I think would be amazing as well is Screeching Stun. Every 10 seconds you have a 2-second stun. So 20% of the time the enemies would be stunned. Until you unlock the critical strike chance aura, of course, anything else would be nice. I really like the running aura. Sometimes I even put the running aura just to make my runs faster, and then I just before the boss in the boss room switch to my crit strike chance. But whatever aura you get, use it until you manage to unlock this one or this one. As you can see, I'm currently using Battle Cry and Defensive Posture because that's the only non-aura skills I've got. As the build name suggests, this build would require something with chance to poison. So whether it's a weapon or an offhand, you would want something with chance to poison. So some good choices are the Bitterwood Staff, maybe a blue item with chance to poison. Laced Mace is not a bad choice. Same goes for Disease Grasp. Then All Deadly Bastards, the Wu-Tang Clan Greatsword, can also drop with chance to poison. Not always, but it has a chance to do so. So just make sure at least one piece of your equipment has chance to poison. Then there's things like pauldrons that can give you poison duration, then there's helmets that can give you an extra chance to poison, so that's something to keep in mind. Ideally, you would want to complement the poison with another element, and I think one of the best choices would be chance to shock. So I've decided to go for a weapon with chance to poison and an offhand with chance to shock. But if you can find a one-handed weapon or an offhand with something like this, you see here it says 25% chance to summon a skeleton archer on critical hit. And there's more like those that summon different types of creatures like wolves, netherlings, etc. So try to get as many of those as you can on your gear to summon as many of your allies as possible when you crit. The more allies you stack, the better. You're stacking this with the relic weapon 8-legged allies, which is 12 spiders for 10 seconds, and then you have 6 netherlings from Spirit Well, so having some more allies to your aid with such a build would be an amazing thing to do. Ideally this would give you also chance to poison, but for me it doesn't, but I did want to show you just quickly that there is such a thing now with this patch, so you can try and farm more of those items. If you don't want chance to poison together with another element, maybe for the offhand you can get something like this. Great mana again, crit chance and some extra flat damage. Or if you get an offhand with poison, then you can get something like this for the main hand. Chance to freeze, chance to chill, crit chance. I do suggest getting for chance to shock or chance to burn or chance to bleed on your offhand if the main hand is poison though. And shock is my preferred complementary element. Then try to get other items with something like this is not bad, 10% chance to increase move speed by 10% for 3 seconds on kill. It's good for speed running. There's also additional bolts fired on shock if you're using shock, otherwise don't use that. Gear work should not be underestimated as well. Try to stack as much of it as possible. And crit chance and crit damage are amazing. If you can get a lot of crit chance, crit damage and flat damage on your gear, this is a nice choice. Here are some examples. This is nice. Flat percent HP, crit damage. Defense, percent HP, flat damage. So those are nice choices. Regardless what it is, try to have at least some physical damage or crit chance or crit damage in your armor from some sources, and try to get your crit chance if you can to 30% without the pet aura. If you have the pet aura, maybe you can have less crit chance, that's fine, but you want to be critting, especially if you want to be summoning allies on crit. Then there's items that modify certain skills. So there's good options that modify Unholy Bolt, Holy Bolt, Absolver, Holy Fury, and so on. If you wanna go for gear like this, just pick something that modifies the skills you use. I don't think that's needed to say, but just make sure you do. If you want no cooldown on Luminous Run when it's maxed out, try to get at least one item that modifies the skill with some cooldown reduction. Playing this build is pretty straightforward and easy. You're basically spamming Venomous Mode to poison the enemies. If you don't have a poison weapon, this would greatly help you summon those 8-legged allies. If you do have a weapon, you are not tied to using Venomous Mode, but it does help for extra poison chance. Then of course you're using Spirit Well whenever you want to summon extra netherlings. And in between that, when you wanna focus something with a lot of DPS, you can use energy spike and entropy, and as shown earlier, you can just weave them by starting with an entropy, following up with energy spikes until entropy is ready for a recast, and then repeating. Of course, a luminous run is used anytime where you need some extra movement speed. It can also give your allies movement speed if you pass through them. Another good thing about Luminous Run is it can phase through enemies. It allows you a phasing ability, so if you're stuck somehow in between a lot of enemies, it can allow you to escape. If needed, you can even use control to force it, and of course there's consecration when you need a damage buff. Thanks for watching this video, folks. If you've enjoyed it, you can let me know by hitting that button, and if you want to be notified for future content that I'm uploading, you can hit the subscribe button as well. For more Torchlight Frontiers content, you can check the different playlists I have for builds for each of the classes, and in the description below this video you can find links to my Twitch, Twitter, Mixer and Facebook pages. You can also see those at the end of this video in the final sequence. Thank you again for watching this video and keep it cool folks. Until next time.